The webinar is now being recorded. Thank you for joining us for Collaboration for Development Goals, a webinar hosted by IDEA, the International Diaspora Engagement Alliance, and USAID's CIDI, the Center for International Disaster Information. My name is Sarah Gallagher, and I'm the Program Officer for IDEA. I also have on the call with me my colleague, Jeanette Pelizan. In case you're new to IDEA, let me give you a bit of background. We're a public-private partnership between the U.S. Department of State, USAID, and Calvert Foundation, which is the managing partner. IDEA harnesses the passion, energy, and resources of diaspora individuals and diaspora groups in contributing back to their countries of heritage. We do this through investment in entrepreneurship, philanthropy, volunteerism, and innovation. We're also committed to helping build the capacity of diaspora organizations and entrepreneurs to help them better serve their constituents and to help them make a greater impact back home. That's why we're excited to host this webinar as part of a series of capacity development trainings throughout 2015. To learn more about these webinars and our other programming, you can sign up for membership on our website, which is diasporaalliance.org. Membership is free and provides access to resources like these trainings, networking opportunities, and more. This webinar will take a look at how cross-sector collaboration can help maximize development impact in effective ways. USAID Center for International Disaster Information, CIDI, will discuss how nonprofits can partner with CIDI and how individuals and organizations can most effectively support disaster relief efforts overseas. This webinar is extremely timely, not only because of the Nepal earthquake, but because with disasters, it's not a question of being prepared if it happens, it's a question of being prepared when it happens. The work that CIDI and Diaspora do in times of disaster are essential, and we want to make sure that we're maximizing our collaborative abilities. We're thrilled to be partnering with CIDI on this webinar, and we have 3 stellar representatives from the organization who work directly with diasporas here to speak with you today. Barlin Ali, who's the program coordinator, Margot Morris, the outreach and volunteer coordinator, and Eric Chavez, a senior research analyst at CIDI. Welcome, Barlin, Margot, and Eric. Eric, I believe you're going to kick off our conversation.
That is correct. My name is Eric Chavez. I'm the Senior Research Analyst at USAID Center for International Disaster Information, and we're going to go ahead and get started here. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what is USAID. USAID stands for the U.S. Agency for International Development. It was established in 1960. We, as an office, USAID administers U.S. foreign assistance. USAID operates in over 100 different countries. However, USAID's budget constitutes less than 1% of the entire federal budget. So all the money that the U.S. government spends on its various programs, USAID as a whole constitutes less than 1% of that. So to get the initiatives that we want to get done for development done, we partner with organizations. Partnerships enable us to maximize the development work that we do abroad, institute faster, more effective aid and development with greater long-term impact, and scale efficiently and effectively with greater sustainability. These are examples of the various groups that can partner with USAID. As you can see, the range is from everything from universities to religious institutions, foundations, think tanks. Many different types of groups partner with USAID in service to the development initiatives that we have abroad, and particularly diaspora. So next we'll take a look. So these are examples of the partnerships that we institute. Economic growth and hazelnuts in the Caucasus is an example of an outcome from corporate partnerships with USAID, the African Diaspora Marketplace, Responsible Asia Forestry and Trade Program, Dream Nativ TV show in Afghanistan. These are some of the programs that have come from the various partnerships that USAID has engaged in. And then if you're looking at the chat box, you'll see that we just posted up a link to partnership opportunities with USAID. This is a website that you can visit that will give you some very general information about partnering with USAID and the types of programs that are available. It's important for us to mention that, so CIDI, the Center for International Disaster Information, we are not involved in the selection process for grants or other funding awards, or the selection process for partnership or programmatic activities at USAID. We are merely an educational organization. This information is all publicly available to you. It's just there's a lot of it, and so we've gone to the task of gathering it all together and simplifying it so that it's easily accessible and maybe even easy to understand. So the first thing that we'll talk about in terms of partnership with USAID is PVO registration. And first question you might ask yourself is what is a PVO? And a PVO stands for Private Voluntary Organization. And this is the name given to organizations that successfully complete USAID's registration process. Registration is a requirement for tax-exempt organizations to be considered for grants and other funding awards for development work overseas. It is important to note that you must be a nonprofit to achieve PVO status. This is a different form of partnership than if you were a business or some other private organization that wanted to partner with USAID. These are the three requirements necessary to be qualified to register as a PVO, obviously tax-exempt status being the first one. The second would be private funding. An organization must be able to demonstrate their ability to raise private funding for development work abroad so that USAID knows that your organization is capable of funding these projects, even if the funding that USAID provides you with is no longer available in the future. And then you also must have current programs. The programs that you have must support beneficiaries in at least one country other than the country where the organization is incorporated. This is because organizations do not have to be based in the United States to become registered as a PVO. They can be from other countries, and they just have to demonstrate that they have programs that serve beneficiaries in a country other than the country in which they are based. These documents here are all the documents required to complete your registration as a private voluntary organization with USAID. The first set of documents you have to provide are cover letter that states why your organization is registering and the current or intended overseas program activities and the relevance to USAID's strategic objectives. And you can find a list of USAID's strategic objectives by visiting usaid.gov/what-we-do, what we do. The next item that you have to provide is proof of tax-exempt status. Now, in the United States, this would be the determination letter that you received from the IRS declaring your organization a 501c3, which you could offer up as proof. If you are based outside of the United States, you would offer up a different, whatever the equivalent of that recognition is in your country of base. Articles of incorporation. So anytime you start an organization like this, generally you'll have a set of articles of incorporation that are essentially serving as your charter, your mission, the purpose behind why your organization was built, and then accompanying that, you must also include a copy of your organization's bylaws. So you provide a copy of the rules describing how your organization is governed and how that governance structure works. You will also provide audited financial statements. So you'll want to put forward a digital copy of your organization's audited financial statements. They must be in US dollars and signed by a professional auditor. And then you will also include an annual report. It's a copy of your organization's annual report. It basically it describes all your program activities and your financial outlays for a given year. It should be the same fiscal year as the financial statements that you're providing that have been audited. In this next slide, this documents a timeline of registering to become a private voluntary organization. The first step is to designate a staff member of your organization who will be responsible for preparing the registration application and will serve as the main point of contact with USAID during the application process. The representative will receive a username and password, and to link the application website once they start the application process. This person will be in regular contact with USAID, so it should be someone who's actively involved in your organization, both as a leader and just a member participating in the program activities or the direction thereof. The next step is to register on sam.gov. The representative that you choose is the one who will register your organization on sam.gov. Sam.gov is a system for award management, and it's something that anyone who wants to compete for any type of funding award from the government has to register through them to get a number, a DUNS number that comes from Duns & Bradstreet. It generally takes 2 to 3 business days to receive this number, but it is a requirement that you must go through in order to register as a PBO and to participate in the USG database. Then you start the application. So once you've gotten past steps 1 and 2, you can then start your application to become a PBO with USAID. You will basically, you receive your DUNS number, for your organization, then you begin the process, you hit the apply button, the representative will then provide their contact and organizational information. You can do this by visiting USAID's website, usaid.gov/PVO, and then you complete and submit the application online. And then your application will be reviewed by USAID, and this process can take some time. I have in parentheses here up to 6 months. It could be longer. It could be shorter. It just depends on how many applications they've received and what kind of requirements they're looking at and documentation you've provided them with. Okay. And then also we put up a link to it looks like partnership opportunities /NGO. So this will give you a little bit more information about this process. So benefits of registering. You have to register to be eligible to compete for grants and funding awards from USAID for long-term development projects. It is important to note that the Office of Foreign Disaster Assistance has a completely different methodology for programming and funding, and they do not have to go through the same process that long-term development projects do because they're responding to disasters that have immediate needs that need to be dealt with, on an hourly basis. But to be eligible for long-term development process, you must go through PBO registration. This also gives you visibility with USAID. It's important to have at least have some visibility if you're looking to compete for grants or funding awards, but also if you're looking to maybe work with other NGOs who are also competing for grants and funding awards. That kind of visibility is something that can be very useful for you. And then, opportunity to participate in trainings and events on USAID programs and funding processes. So USAID will every now and again host different types of training seminars and classes on how to register for certain opportunities, or how to apply for a grant, or how to do just different trainings that are of value to an organization that's interested in performing development work and competing for grants and funding awards. You will also receive news from USAID about their policies, programs, and solicitations through the PBO alerts and updates by email. So this will just kind of keep you informed of what availability there is for grants and fundraising opportunities if there's something in your organization's particular area of interest, or updates to things, requirements that you must fulfill in order to compete for them. And then in the chat, we've posted another link to usa.gov/PBO. It's just everything that you need, you will find there. So all this information is there, and there'll be additional information that you can look for on that website. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide. Next, we'll have Margot.
All right, thank you, Eric. I also posted the grants.gov site, and that's where you can find and apply for federal grants. So I am CIDI's Outreach and Volunteer Coordinator, and I'll be giving you a very brief overview of what we do as an organization within USAID and why we exist and are able to provide you with this information. We were created in 1988 by the Office of U.S. Foreign Disaster Assistance, which is a part of USAID, 1 month after Hurricane Gilbert, when the emergency response in the Caribbean was being overwhelmed with unsolicited in-kind material donations, and it was impeding the emergency relief response. So they created CIDI to inform the American public about how best to contribute to international disaster relief efforts, and in doing so, reduce the amount of unsolicited material donations sent to these disaster relief sites. And through this messaging, we encourage people to give monetary donations. So part of what we do is public outreach. We give a presentation, we go to conferences, events, community meetings, and we educate people about how when a disaster strikes, they really want to help. And the best way to do so is to support a response effort through monetary donations. And this is primarily because they help stimulate local economies. They provide employment and cash flow in that region. They also allow relief workers to use the money where they see best in an evolving disaster response. And they also don't entail any transportation or shipping costs. So sometimes unsolicited material donations can disrupt a disaster site and take up space that's needed to stage and distribute life-saving supplies. And also sometimes these donations aren't culturally sensitive or nutritionally sensitive, and Barlin will go into that in more depth. But this is the type of education we give when we are going to these meetings. And when we go to foreign embassies and diaspora groups, typically the embassy and the diaspora community are the first to receive these inquiries for donations, and people have this goodwill that they want to give to them, and preventatively we educate embassies and diaspora groups about how they can channel the public's goodwill to be the most productive and effective for the disaster response. We also set up a call center during times of large-scale international disasters. The photo in the slide is during the Haiti earthquake, where we had volunteers coming in for 2-hour shifts pretty much 24/7 for a number of weeks, because the influx of donor inquiries and volunteer inquiries, and pretty much people will call about a variety of different things. Sometimes they're trying to locate family members, and we redirect a lot of these calls that are coming in through the hotline number, which is 202-821-1999.
Well, I think this is my part. My name is Barlin Ali, and I'm the program coordinator USAID CIDI. Eric and Margot, they really did well, and thank you for Sarah, who gives the good introduction for us. These are what you're seeing as the case studies or pictures that we have get when there is a disaster. Some of these pictures that you are seeing are the in-kind donations that it came from a good heart. People, when they hear that there's a disaster, everybody would love to help. But then not all the people are educated and know what they are giving, whether it's going to contribute or not. So all these things that you are seeing are donations that we give to a disaster place. Clothes after clothes after clothes, and boxes and boxes, and nobody knows what is in it. So I'm going to show you one after another, and you're going to see what is the impact to people when there is a disaster, what we give them. So all these boxes or all the clothes that you're going to see, it didn't come like somebody who's saying, let me give them something that I really don't want. Let me throw to that country. But it's coming from a good heart. In here, United States, people are really generous. to give. The only thing is just they really don't know when they give whether that donation it's going to help the other side of the country, especially I'm talking international disaster. This picture is the Central America and Caribbean in 1998, and boxes and boxes in a warehouse, and nobody knows what is in those boxes also. Indonesia, the tsunami, everybody remembers, 2004. Look at those clothes. The ships, they come, and they don't have a place to put it, and they just dump the shore. Some of them, they will just put there, and they just leave so they can get another load to bring in to the people who are expecting a donation. This donation could have been very good if they would have donated people monetary donation, as Margot mentioned it earlier. Even a small gift, monetary donation, can help more people in more ways than material donation. And they help more quick to impact projects involves medical care, shelter, sanitation, engineering, construction. And also the monetary donation, when they give into a relief organization, the relief organization will get something that they need because they are inside the country at that time. They can get inside the country, so it can stimulate the economy of the country. This picture that you are seeing, they put inside the water, the ocean, so the tide can come and take it. Or they can burn it. That's how they put in there, because nobody was using it. People, they go through, sometimes culturally it's not appropriate. So we really encourage about the cash donation. This one also, Haiti. If you remember the earthquake Haiti 2010, this is in front of the Haiti embassy. People, they would like to donate, and they think that the donation, they don't know where to take it, and they will just say, okay, let's go to the embassy. Maybe they know how to transport this, and they will just put in there. And this is one of the pictures that somebody took. Again, as Margot mentioned it, we have a call center. So that call center, people, when they call, everybody calls the call center when there's a big disaster. And even if you call right now, it will be, somebody will answer that call. So 1994 Rwanda genocide, if you remember, a lot of people, they get out the country and they get into a refugee area. And our hotline, people were calling for a donation, to give a donation. And these are the things that some of the people, they called and they said, I would like to donate mixed cake, weight loss drink, corn dog mix, and frostbite, especially a country where it is, 90-degree tropical country, they really don't need frostbite. And that's why I say people, they are not educated. It needs the education. So CIDI staff, always we travel, we go and participate events that diaspora organizations, their events, and we do PowerPoint presentation and we share our story. We try to educate the diaspora to how they can donate. We're going to go and see more donations that it was attempted on our phone call, the hotline phone call, people, our volunteers answered. Afghanistan, 2001. I mean, imagine a country where the religion is Islam, that they donate pork, pork meat, Barbie doll, and peanuts. It's good, but with the allergies, that donation peanuts is a little bit difficult. Mystery soup also, we just called mystery soup. It was a soup that inside was pork, but outside it says, they were labeled wrongly, and it was saying vegetable soup, and but it didn't go. So those are one of the donations also. Now, CIDI, we have a lot of resources if you go to our website, which I really would love that everybody who is attending this webinar to see the website after we are ended. PS8, that there is a contest that either everyone or college students, they go and they put out their talent of, you know, a video or a print, how can they help, or how can they put their talents there in time of a disaster? What kind of international disaster donations would look like? So we have a beautiful 100 ideas of fundraising. I always use that, and I give Diaspora communities, when they do a fundraising, that is a good document that they can see ideas. 55 ways repurpose idea. If you ever collect, or if anybody collects in-kind donations, how can they repurpose? What can they do? They're stuck and it's in a warehouse or in your garage. What can you do? How can you change into money so you can donate to relief organizations who can buy something that the community need at that time? And there's a printable PSAs. Tools for donations. We have a fact sheet that always, it comes the latest one on our website, which is very important. Right now, the Nepal earthquake is going, the emergency. There's a fact sheet that you can see who donate what, how much it went there, what is the situation right now. So that is like a very good document. Frequent question asked. Guidelines, which is very good. I've really come to get all the time. I read myself also, so it's a good information, those one. Also, the website www.cidi.org. It's a great website that you can get all this what we have talked about. The best thing is the donation calculator, that it shows you, if you ever think about sending a shipment of, let's say, boxes of water to where the people, they don't have water, and you think water, then you can calculate that and how much it costs from here to the country that you are sending. So you will make your choices of, should I use this, you know, send this about $10,000 money, or this $10,000 if I send, or I can invest this $10,000 for a water purification that can, you know, give water a whole village. So that is, it's really a great donation calculator up there. We have also a list of current disaster and disaster relief effort. There are NGOs or organizations that are working right now at the disaster area. If anyone wants to donate, you know, monetary donation, that they can get the list there, because they're already vetted. They are good organizations, and that is where you can get also. We have great social media. We have Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, CIDI blogs. You can follow us, and it's really, if you go, you will just see the latest topic all the time. I'm not going to say this, but here we are. I think anybody would know this person. We get referral from them, and they will just send us, and this is a great picture. I guess a lot of people are laughing, but it's a great picture. I'm not going to say his name, so it's all yours, that one. I would like to thank you also. I would like to mention BVO guide comes from Diaspora Engagement. Thank you so much.
So now we're going to ask some of the questions that were sent to us during the presentation. And the first one is, if you don't have an annual report, what can you submit in the place of us for the PBO registration? So in place of an annual report, what can you submit in its place to complete your PBO registration?
You have to submit an annual report. It's part of the required document, so there are no replacement, as far as I know, there are no replacement documents that one could submit. So basically, you know, if you're running a nonprofit organization, an annual report, if it's not something that you're regularly doing, it might be a practice that you want to get into doing, just so that you're documenting the type of programmatic activities that you're engaged in. and that's a requirement for registration. They don't allow for alternative documents.
Okay, and you also mentioned that PBOs get additional visibility. Are PBOs also listed somewhere publicly on USAID's website?
There's not a list of organizations that are registered as PBOs as far as I know. However, you could go to sam.gov and look up any organization that is registered there. So I guess that would, in a way, give you an idea of what organizations have been registered as PBOs, obviously being the difference between organizations that do international development and those that don't. But there is no list. There's no list that I know of. However, if you do look at fact sheets for certain areas that USAID is working in, they will list off the organizations that they are working with in that given region and how much money they've put in programs to those different groups.
Okay, and we also had a question. Could you explain the relationship between PBOs and CIDI more clearly?
Yeah, so at CIDI, our purpose is to educate donors on how to donate properly to international disaster relief efforts. Why we started doing information about PBO registration is that in the process of engaging with Diaspora, a lot of NGOs, Diaspora-managed NGOs, would ask us how they could register with USAID to compete for grants and other funding awards to do development work back in their home countries. And so we put together a guide based on the information on USAID's website and went ahead and got permission to give that guide and talk about this process a little bit with them. Our relationship to PBOs, we have no influence over who gets selected for grants and funding awards. We don't have any, sway over USAID and who they choose to work with. It's just something we offer to help NGOs. So.
And I would like to jump here. Also, Eric, he mentioned when we see the diaspora, the question comes from the diaspora groups when we travel, and this is their question. Whenever there's a disaster to our homeland, we diaspora, we have NGOs, and we never get a grant or we never get, any money to go back home and help our country. So we discussed a little bit an exercise, and we said, well, let's see if at least they will be visible. Even if they didn't get any grants or any money, the NGOs who registered under USAID, the good thing is they will be visible. They will get information, who wins something, or what kind of RFP come out, or what grant is there. So they get emails. So they will see a lot of information. That is how it can, and that is why we put all this, PBO registration when we do PowerPoint presentation.
Great, thanks for explaining that. And could you, we have a question from Harold. Can you explain how the PBO process, or does the PBO process recognize fiscal partnerships?
I mean, you have to clarify a little bit. You'd have to clarify what you mean by fiscal partnerships. I mean, all partnerships with USAID are inherently monetary in nature. So to understand USAID a little bit better, and I think this is probably somewhat confusing, USAID, when they do development or disaster relief, they don't touch victims. So they find organizations that can do the type of work that needs to be done to alleviate a problem. In a place like Nepal, we might use search and rescue, which are part of the DART or something else, but we aren't involved in the process of doing that actual work. We put money, we apply money towards projects that accomplish the work, and it's NGOs that fulfill that. But let's see here.
Eric, I think Harold's question is referring to fiscal sponsorship. That would be my guess. So if an organization isn't, legally a nonprofit themselves, but they have a fiscal sponsor who is a nonprofit organization, are they eligible to, not the fiscal sponsor, but the, the diaspora group, are they eligible to apply for PBO status?
You mean, so if they were a nonprofit, the diaspora group's a nonprofit that's
the diaspora group is not a legal nonprofit, but they have a fiscal sponsor who is.
They have to register. So one of the requirements to register as a PBO is demonstration of proof that they have achieved nonprofit status from the IRS by virtue of their determination letter.
Okay, so it sounds like only the nonprofit who's their fiscal sponsor would qualify.
That's right.
Yeah, and in terms of local and regional organizations, in the link that I posted about usaid.gov/partnership-opportunities/NGO, that long link, sorry, but that link in it has the different partnership opportunities with USAID, and on that webpage they have a particular section for local grassroots organizations if you want to pursue that further.
And we have another question from the attendees, and that is, how does a young diaspora organization establish enough credibility to become a PBO member if they do not have a working history?
So to develop a working history, or to get to a position where you can register as a PBO successfully and compete successfully for grants and other funding awards from USAID, the easiest thing that an NGO can do would be for them to look at organizations. So like if there was a diaspora organization who is trying to come up and they see another NGO within their own community that's larger and has had some success in winning grants or funding awards, either from USAID or from an implementing partner of USAID as a subcontract to the grant that they've won, that the path to getting that experience, can most easily be attained by working with larger groups that are winning those grants and contracts, offering to provide services to help them complete those grants so they can subcontract to that group. And they experience by doing that that will allow them to build that work history, so to speak. And the other part is it helps them build relationships with people who are working with USAID and working in the types of development that USAID is currently engaged in. So, that, in my opinion, that's how you would develop a resume like that. Though there are other paths. That's not the only way.
I would like to go back, Eric, when he was doing his PowerPoint presentation, that he said visibility earlier. So this is type of the visibility. If they register, and Eric touched it a little bit, and I want to go a little bit broad, more in depth. When the visibility comes when they see that, let's say, a big organization, their name is Cloud, win this much of money, that person, diaspora, their country. So they are looking, they can, as Eric said, they can jump in at that time and they can say, we already have in the country 5 engineers, that they speak the language, that they know the country, that they know the culture, the history, the religion, and we would like to partner with you. So you don't have to shy. You just put there all your experience, what you do. In that case, they will just say yes. So that is where you get your credit, even if it is, let's say, 10,000. So you do that work abroad or the country, and you get yourself a credit. And that is where you get your credit. And next time something comes in, you are there.
Okay, and thank you for that. We have one last question, and this is for you, Barlin. You mentioned that cash donations also contribute to the economies within a country. What about in situations like Cyclone Pam that devastated almost the entire island of Vanuatu? Don't they need food and clothes donations as well?
Yes, they need food, they need clothes, but we are not to send here the clothes and send there. Look at how much money that you will spend for transportation, because transportation is not for free at all. And then you can send, I'm not saying do not ever send, you can send, but when is the time you are going to send? First of all, you have to have an organization who is going to receive, who are capable of distributing all that, who are capable of, they know who are they giving, that it's not going to be looted or it's not going to be, you know, throw around. Or so whenever they're asking people, sometimes they will just say, we need everything, we don't have everything. But what is that? We need everything. That means everything. And then here at the end of the other world, they will send everything. If I say I need tent and I didn't specify the tent, they're going to send me, if I am in a tropical, they will send me a tent that is so hot that they use in a, you know, in a snowy place, or it's winter. So if people, they specify and they say, I want fries, then we are not going to send the spaghetti. Or we are not going to send all you know, something that they are not going to use it. So we have to organize who is receiving this. Do the people they ask these items, do they say they need clothes that it's made of this and this and this? So that is only specifications of. If they ask specifically, yes, it's good when you are sending, but then you have to make sure how much it costs, the transportation. If it's a lot, then buy the neighboring country. I mean, even not, you know, inside the country. I think Margot will add more too.
I think one thing to also consider is, I mean, Barlin mentioned it, is when to send it. I mean, when typically, you know, on a post-disaster like that, their immediate priorities are medical relief or, you know, shelter, search and rescue. Typically, people on the ground will give an assessment and say, we need, you know, shelter for people or medical relief supplies. And like NGOs on the ground will then be able to facilitate that, because when there's already kind of like a bottleneck going into that country for transportation or things that are coming in the port, planes that are bringing supplies, they want to keep priority items, the first type of items that come to the victims, and then later, you know, like Barlin was saying, when an NGO or when a community is asking for something, ensuring that time-wise it's appropriate and that there's people on the ground who are able to receive it and distribute it.
Yeah.
Great, and we actually have one last question. Could you guys provide us a good resource where we can direct people to find credible organizations to give money to? And also, can you clarify how donors can be sure that their money is going to the relief effort and not something else?
So to find a list of organizations that are responding to a given disaster, our office puts together a list of organizations that have to meet a certain set of requirements to be included that we know are actively responding with staff on the ground in the disaster-affected areas. And you can find that on our website by going right to the home page. If there's a large-scale disaster that has recently occurred, you can just go right to our home page and you'll find information. So like currently you'll see information about Nepal and a list of NGOs that are currently working in Nepal to relieve the disaster-affected area. So that's it, and we can't recommend a specific organization, but we can at least provide you with a list of organizations that are qualified and that we have vetted for legitimacy of their programs and operations. So, and you can also visit interaction.org. Interaction is a membership organization that to become a member, an NGO can apply, and they have to go through a vetting process to become a member of Interaction to affirm their legitimacy. So that's another way that you can find organizations. Global Giving usually has a list of funding campaigns related to a given disaster as soon as it starts. They also vet organizations before they're able to post funding campaigns on their website. So.
And I think too sometimes the question about trust may come from, you know, a perceived understanding of the percentage that's going towards overhead. I think when we're talking about disasters, it's important to take into consideration the type of relief that the organization is giving. For example, with the Nepal earthquake, there's a lot of funds that are going towards search and rescue, which will, an organization's going to put that down as relief workers and, staff and providing funds for them to get over there and, use search and rescue dogs. And so that's just one example of how it can really depend upon the disaster, what the organization is doing in response, and understand kind of the nuances of where that money can be going.
Thank you guys so much. And I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you again, Eric and Margot and Barlin, for sharing the work that you do and your experiences so candidly with us. I think this was a really interesting discussion. And thank you also to the audience members for joining and for your questions. You make the work we do possible. I just want to give one plug for our next webinar, which is May 28th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can register for that by going to our website, diasporaalliance.org. And that webinar is about Global Diaspora Week, which takes place this October 11th through the 17th. So we hope you'll join that one as well and learn more about that. Thank you to all the CIDI staff, and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.